Hi, it's Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions, and today we're talking about vulnerability. So if you go to the previous video, I just talked about accountability and disclosures, and I talked a lot about kind of this importance of being available to yourself and others. Vulnerability is that opportunity to be able to be available to others. And be available to ourselves. So if we look at trust as a feedback loop, and you'll see that in my book on saying goodbye to bad brain, that trust is a feedback loop, just like anxiety is a feedback loop, depression is a feedback loop. We have all these different feedback loops. Trust is one of them. So when you withhold, you lack trust. So when we withhold from ourselves, when we avoid, we're lacking trust in our ability to do something. We then tell ourselves that we don't have capacity to do it, and we implicitly invalue ourselves, making it further like we're not going to trust. So once we withhold, we don't trust, and when we don't trust, we withhold. So it's a continued loop. And when we withhold because we don't trust ourselves, then other people don't trust us, and then they withhold, and now you don't trust them. So sometimes I feel like Mike Brady when I'm talking to my clients and they say, I never thought of it like that before. But that is kind of that circular motion. It is a feedback loop. So trust withholding is a connection, and we do it with ourselves. And then what we do is we do it with others, and that's how we get these self-fulfilling prophecies. Is because we withheld because we didn't trust ourselves, then we're withholding with others, and they're going to do what we expect them to do because we didn't put ourselves out there because of that lack of trust. So vulnerability is finding a way to interject in that feedback loop and find trust for ourselves, or find disclosures and humility in being available for ourselves and for others, which is a hard thing to do, but it's so important for accountability because it allows us to be open. It allows us to have authenticity. People really buy into people who are honest and transparent. They will follow them through to the end of the world. They will. And so having that authenticity is very important, and it allows us for personal growth, because when you can realize that perfection is not real, we're not ever seeking perfection. We're seeking a good enough life, a life worth living. So being able to understand that perfection is not real allows us to accept that there are times we're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. And whether we are vulnerable enough to ask somebody for feedback and give us evaluation and feedback, that external accountability, or we're able to look at ourselves and be critical to ourselves, and not shame and guilt will get us nowhere. It'll hold us to our traumas. But if we're like, yeah, I probably could have done this better. I'm not going to shame myself, and I'm not going to sit here and beat myself up and feed a negative cycle with it. But in the next time I do this, I want to be mindful of this, and I want to do this better. I want to be very clear on making sure this is something I focus on. And it gives us connection. People are very connected to and will be more likely to disclose, trust feedback loop, to disclose to you, to be to have humility, not to be humiliated, to have humility with you, and to be able to be vulnerable with you, because again, the trust. If you are able to trust yourself enough and trust the person you're interacting with to be open and honest and transparent and have that authenticity, then they're going to be more likely to trust you, want to have that open, honest transparency with you, and also be able to have that for themselves. It's a nice, comforting place when we present ourselves from a vulnerable standpoint, which is so incredibly difficult. And in pop culture, we love to use the word, in pop psychology, narcissist. We love that word. We don't really know what it is, and we don't know who's an egomaniac, who's a narcissist. But we do enjoy overusing that. And I think that there is a trend towards more narcissistic traits because of social media, because of our need and this generation to have so much external validation, it immediately, implicitly depletes you. It depletes all internal validation by being able to have these external validators. And so there is a direct correlation to high external validation, low internal validation, and vice versa. And so being vulnerable allows us to kind of break through that so that we can be more trustworthy of ourselves, to be able to engage in ourselves. And that is the splicing, because people with actual narcissistic personality disorder have a depleted sense of self, a completely depleted sense of self, a lot of fear and shame, and they use external validators as ways to be able to present a facade and to perform so people don't see that low sense of self and all that shame and guilt that they hold in. Where egomaniacs are very vulnerable. They're like, I do this and I do that. Look how amazing I am. They really feed that need for external validation. And it's not necessarily that they have this secret hatred for themselves. It's more of they just want more because it's a black hole of need for external validation. They just really enjoy themselves. So a little tidbit on a slide in of vulnerability is to be able to be open and to break that trust feedback loop that goes in a negative cycle where we lack trust and we lack disclosure, and we want to have disclosure so we can build trust. Thank you so much. This is Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions. I am here to provide all the support that you need in a variety of ways, whether it's just an accountability subscription or going through a boutique retreat, everything in between, self-help books, group success coaching, individual success coaching, even e-counseling, for those who are really wanting to dive in and have that connection to, their mental health and their diagnosis and treatment. I have the gamut and I'm here to help you. So if you like this, subscribe to my page, hit the thumbs up like button. And I look forward to hearing more. So put comments below, be vulnerable, put your goals out there. I am here to support you. Have a good day.